Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vago Muradian here at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C., where today we've had a singular honor of interviewing one of America's greatest astronauts, a man who to this day continues to contribute to America's efforts in space. Lieutenant General Tom Stafford, United States Air Force retired, participated in 2 key Gemini missions as well as 2 Apollo missions, including Apollo 10, which was a full dress rehearsal that made possible the Apollo 11 moon landing in July 1969, meeting President Kennedy's goal of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth by 1970. General Stafford also was the U.S. commander of the Apollo-Soyuz test project, held at the height of the Cold War in 1975, which was an effort with the Soviet Union to try to improve relations between the 2 countries. General Stafford went on to become the U.S. Air Force acquisition chief before he retired, during which he helped develop key stealth technologies that kept the United States in the lead through the Cold War and in the decades since. He also holds the title of the fastest human ever. He, along with his crew members on Apollo 10, John Young and Gene Cernan, achieved a speed of 24,791 miles an hour, a record that stands to this very day. This interview is all the more special because of when we held it. We taped the interview on July 20, which was to the day in 1969 when Apollo 11 astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin first set foot upon the surface of another celestial body. Here's our interview with General Stafford. Sir, thanks so much. It's such a terrific honor to meet with you, especially in the Air and Space Museum on the anniversary of the Apollo 11 landing on the moon.
Well, thank you very much. It's always a great feel for me to be back here at the Air and Space Museum, particularly by the Apollo-Soyuz display, which was the backup spacecraft for my 4th mission. And then right behind me is a model of the Saturn V, and the Soviet N-1 is our competition to go to the moon.
Absolutely, and right over there is your friend Alexei Leonov doing the first spacewalk.
Right, Alexei's like a brother to me.
An extraordinary astronaut, cosmonaut in his own right. Where I wanted to start, sir, is you were born in Weatherford, Oklahoma, proud citizen. You grew up a proud son of the city, and you grew up and came of age during World War II, and you decided to go to the Naval Academy. Which for some people would have been an interesting choice, although back then there was no Air Force Academy. You were either going to West Point or to the Naval Academy. Tell us a little bit about what got you interested in flying, why the Naval Academy and not West Point, and what attracted you to space?
Well, as a little boy, my hometown, about 3,000 people, was on the edge of the Dust Bowl in western Oklahoma. But Highway 66 was on the main street. And the first intercontinental air route flew from New York over to Cleveland and Chicago, then down Highway 66 all the way to Los Angeles. So every day as a little boy, I'd be 5 years old, 6 years old. This was 1936, 37. I'd look up and I'd see a couple of times a day these giant silver airplanes flying over. And they were DC-3s. I said, that's what I want to do. That motivated me. And then occasionally, you might see a biplane fly around. And I would just look up and be fascinated. I said, I wanted to fly. That was always a motivation. And then I read a book, too, about men of Annapolis. I said, gee, that sounds great. But I wanted to get out of the Dust Bowl, too. So the opportunity and my circumstances worked out. I got an appointment. And my little high school, we didn't even have foreign language. So, once I got a nomination, then we had to take exams, and I remember I saved my money and got, there was services that would provide previous exams, so you could study and see what type of question. So I did real well and entered the Naval Academy when I was 17 years old.
Why the Air Force? Why did you decide to go, because when you graduated from Annapolis, you could have gone into the United States Navy and become a naval aviator. Why did you decide to join the United States Air Force?
Well, the Korean War was going on when I graduated in 1952, and the Air Force had the highest performance airplanes. They had the first swept-wing airplane, the F-86 Sabre. All the Navy had was a straight-wing Panther, a Cougar, that had a low-thrust engine. It was a dog of an airplane. And I was a Cold Warrior, and I wanted to go to Korea, shoot down MiGs, kill commies.
But you didn't end up going to Korea, did you?
In pilot training, I was assigned, in the fighters and versus bombers, and I fought for that. And then I was going to be assigned to a fighter wing in Korea, which was great, but the Korean War ended before I received my wings. So instead, most of the people were diverted to the Air Defense Command because the Soviets had copied the B-29s that had landed over near Vladivostok, and they had the Tu-4, Tupolev 4, which was a copy of the B-29.
That's right.
So we had to defend against those coming across the pole.